Hello everyone and welcome to another Yorkies Bits and Bobs Home Tech. Today I'm just going to give you a bit of an update on how this has changed the way I do my photography now. For those who watch me on a regular basis or watch my videos, you will notice I always try and put a picture up to try and illustrate what I'm talking about in the video. So I always think it helps. So I wanted to tell people why this has changed it and how it's changed it, and give you a little demonstration on how it's changed the way I do my pictures. So before that, I'll just quickly run over quick basic things. So this comes from, or I bought this from Amazon, and it's from a company called ESDDI, and I have heard of these before I bought it. And the way this works is when you put it on your camera, and this will only work on a Canon. It will work on other ones, but it won't work fully automatic. But because the way the Canon's set up, it's got these little pins on there. This has got little pins on, and they connect, and the camera can tell this when to work. So that's what that's for. So if you've got a different model, you can get different models of these to fit your camera. So with that, I'll tell you a little bit more about it. The other thing I liked about it was the fact that you can do zoom in, zoom out on the flash, which I didn't understand until I started reading on it. Basically it means, you know, when you zoom it back, it's more directional. When you zoom it out, it's more spreading on the light. That's how it works. And also it's got like a backlight, and you can do loads of little tiny adjustments on it, which I thought was really good. But the other thing it's taught me how to use this in manual mode, because once I started playing about with that and learning about that, I wanted to learn more about, you know, getting the benefits of using that with this. So I watched some videos, and there's some really good people out there teach you some really good basics on how to use your camera, especially this little baby here. Like I said, this is quite old. I've had this, well, I'm not sure how long I've had it. I think it's longer than 10 years old. It's the EOS 300D digital, and you can change the lenses on it, which I like. Although I've only got the one lens, but you can add them big giant telescopic ones like you see the newspaper people carrying, the reporters and that, and then big giant telescopes. This will take all these. They cost a lot of money. And the other thing I liked about it, and I've used it for years, is it has automatic mode, which I used all the time. Everywhere I went, just point, click, you know, job done. And not all my pictures come out brilliantly, but the majority of them did, so I'm quite happy with that. But when I got this little baby and I started learning a bit more, I thought I need to learn how to do this in manual and to try and get the best pictures possible. And I'm going to show you what I mean right now. Before I start doing the photos, I'm just going to quickly run over a couple of things. One of the things I learned, that when it's in manual, I thought, well, what? I've never used this dial here. I never really knew what it was done. And basically what it does the shutter speed. There's a little dial up there, so when you turn it, and I've set mine for 200 normally, it does that. So what that does is determine how fast the flash or the lens opens and shuts. You know, so like, it's really fast anyway, but that makes a big difference on what you're filming. If you're filming like something, a moving vehicle, you want it to open and close really fast. If you're, say, taking a picture of something standing still like a person, and you want to add more light to that person, you can slow the shutter speed down, and that will give a better image. And it does all sorts of other things, like if you want the sea moving and you want it to give an effect of it moving, you can slow it down so it makes it look as though it's still moving, even though it's not, or it's been moving, sort of thing. There's a lot to learn. And also learn how to use the aperture, which is another thing I didn't know how to do. And basically, there's a thing called AV up there, and you hold that in, and it's this dial here where it says 56. I think you can see that, and you can move that, and you can change that, and mess about with it. And it teaches you how to experiment, how to get a better picture. And one of the things I done, and I did struggle with, especially in automatic, I have a little white table that I put products on, and I take photographs of them, and I can't get them very clear. They're sort of, because of the white, I think it's something to do with the white background and maybe the black print, They never come out really good, but now they come out a lot better. And what was the other thing? There was 3 things I learned. ISO, yes, and the ISO I tend to leave alone. I've got that set to about 200, and I try not to play about that because that does quite different thing. It's a little bit weird. I'm still learning on that, so maybe I can do another video at a later stage. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to take a photo, and I'm going to put it in fully automatic mode, and I'm going to take a photo of some print and let the flash work and do its own thing. I'm not going to interfere with it, and I'm going to set the camera up so it's in the same position for each shot. So the first shot will be fully automatic. So with that, shall we get on with it? Right, so the first shot will be a bit of print on a white bit of paper on a white table, and I'm going to just do it and let the automatic choose how it wants. So I'm going to put it on auto, and that's the first one, and that looks pretty good. So it didn't need the flash, done it without the flash. Now the second one is I'm going to put this cover on, and hopefully it will give me a better picture. I'm going to do it in automatic again, but with the flash on this time, and it flashed, and that looks okay. And now I'm going to put it in manual mode. Right, the third one's going to be manual mode, and we've got the shutter speed on 200, the aperture on 5.6, and we're not going to touch the ISO whatsoever. Just going to leave that alone. Like I say, I'm not experienced enough to play about that yet. And that one looks too bright. So that one could be because I used the flash. So what we're going to do now, rather than just the flash, we're going to leave the flash alone. And what we're going to do is change the shutter speed and reduce it to 125 and see what difference that makes. And that looks a bit better. I'm going to adjust it again, and we're going to reduce that to 50. Oh, and that's too bright. So we're going to go back up, and we're going to adjust that all the way to 300, or in this case 320 it says. And that's got a bit of a shadow, so that's too high. Bring that down to 250, and that still looks too bright and a bit dark, if that makes sense. It's about 200. So 200 looks about perfect. So back to where we was. What we're going to do now is adjust the zoom on the flash. So at the moment it's set at 180, and we're going to see what difference it makes if I change it to 35. So that's set for 35. Oh, and that's really blurry, you know, because what you've done, you brought the lens right forward. Well, I think you brought it forward. I don't know if it's forward or backwards. So we're going to adjust that again. We're going to up it to 105. That looks too bright still, so up again. So that's 180. So that's probably right back. And that don't look bad. And the other thing to do we can try is moving the flash up, taking the cover off, and using the bounce card to bounce the light, and see what happens on that. That looks too dark to me, so that's no good. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to leave the flash like that, so it's not going to flash on to the picture itself. Actually, I'm going to remove the flash altogether. What we're going to do now is change the shutter speed. So I'm going to change it to 320. and that's very dark. So I'm going to reduce that, see what big difference it makes. We're going down to 100. That's a little bit better. And bring it down to more. We're going down to 50. Oh, that looks good. And this is just changing shutter speed, remember. No flash. Right, we're going down to 25. Oh, that looks too bright. So between 25 and 50 we need to get it. So let's try 40. That looks pretty good. And then we're going to try, last one, we're going to try at 30. Right, and now we're going to see what it looks like, because I don't know what it looks like. Right, so I've had a look at the pictures, and they're not bad, are they? Oh, by the way, I've changed the shirt. You can see the difference by putting in manual mode, playing about with it. You can see how dark they go, like a shadow effect, how they could be too bright. You can see, I know it's only text, but you can actually see the difference. So don't always do it in an automatic mode. Play about. If you're going to invest in an expensive camera like this, and this was £600 back then when I bought this, and adding a flash to it, an external flash like this is designed not just to sit on the camera. You can actually put it to one side to give it a different shadow effect. It has a thing called a trigger that you can add to it. It's worth investing your time learning how to do it in manual mode, which is what I done. And there's a great guy that I watched, and I'll stick a link in the description in case you want to see it and learn how to use your camera. I did. I spent, you know, some time watching it. I've watched it a few times just to make sure I get it into my head how I can understand it perfectly, how to do the shutter speed, how to do the aperture, even the ISO. But I've left the ISO alone for now. I've got it set on, I think, 200, and I'm just going to leave that alone until I can understand more on how to get the shutter speed right and the aperture. Them two to me are more important than doing the ISO. I thought it was a great learning curve, and for years I've used this on automatic, and now I'm doing more and more manual photos rather than automatic. Don't get me wrong, the automatics work fine, and 90% of the time the pictures are brilliant, but sometimes you just can't get the picture right, can't get the brightness right, it's too bright, it's too dark, you just can't get it right. And by playing about with the flash, whether you be the zoom in, zoom out, and how bright the flash is, playing back with the shutter speed, the aperture, it's a bit of a game changer for me. So I love playing about with this camera now. Even though, like I say, I've had it a long time, and it could do with an update, I could do with a new camera, but it's taught me how to get better pictures out of my camera. And I'm really pleased that I invested in this flash, because without this flash I wouldn't have invested my time learning how to do this in manual. So with that, if you have any comments, please post them below, or any questions, post them below in the under the video. And if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give me a thumbs down, and please subscribe. Thank you very much for watching.